right. Good old swimming worm got this one. Come here, buddy. Up. Okay. There we go. Yep. Got this guy on a swimming worm right here. Nice little, maybe a 2-pounder. Nice fat bass. I got this guy right on the edge of those weeds over there on a swimming worm that I make in a bluegill color. I knew this color was going to work. It's Dalton, everybody. I'm back out at Santa Margarita, just seeing if I can catch a few fish with this swimming worm today. Or, you know, I threw a frog a little bit earlier. I didn't get any bites on that. Threw a chatterbait, no bites. But this swimming worm is perfect for the way this lake is set up right now. A lot of these bass are shallow. I make this worm in a bluegill color. It is a really good worm. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about here. All this area right here, I was throwing a frog in there and didn't get any bites. So I threw this worm. And these swimming worms are sometimes a bait forgotten about. I don't know if you can see down in the water here, but there's some weeds in the water, and I let that worm get down in there, swim through those through that submerged vegetation. It works out really well, and I like to throw it like in those holes that you see out there and right on the edges of this grass. Let it sink down 2 or 3 seconds and then just slowly start swimming it. And it can be very effective, not only for catching them, but also just covering a lot of water. There we go. Got this this guy right here. He's not very big, but he's a fish. Got him right there, dragging this swimming worm right through that grass, right through that cover. It's just a great way to fish. So guys, I want to show you exactly how I rigged this. This is a swimming worm that I make right here. If things are if it's kind of moving a little bit, it's just because there's a lot of wind. I was back in another area. I was throwing a wacky rig. Just managed to get stuck a few times, no bites. Came back over here because the wind is blowing right on all this stuff behind me. And that swimming worm is perfect for it. So I made this a bluegill color. The only thing I could say, this always works for me. Anytime you have a bluegill colored plastic bait, I would always take that tail, get a chartreuse spike it marker and color that tail. It just makes it look more like a bluegill. What I'm using here is a 3/0 Gamakatsu. This is called an offset extra wide gap hook. Okay, now you're going to notice with this tail, I like it for it to be tail down when I'm swimming it. So it's like it has 2 hooks here. The hook of the tail I want to be on the inside, and I want the hook of the hook to be on the inside, just like this, facing each other. So then, in order to get this the way I want it, I just kind of run it right to where it stops there on the shank, bring it through, and here's the key: I don't move the worm, I just move the hook. And that ensures that that tail is on the bottom when I'm swimming it. Go ahead and Texas rig it. And then I put a little bit of that skin right underneath, right inside the plastic, and that way I don't get all hung up. I've got a 3/16 ounce tungsten weight, and I always use a bobber stopper with these things because I typically am always going to fish them in grass. I don't want it to separate because when it separates, it picks up all that extra grass. And this is exactly how it looks. I tell you what, you get this by them, and some of the stuff that I have behind me, I don't care if it's a big one, a small one, it doesn't matter what it is, they're gonna bite it. Oh, I didn't get him hooked. on up here, buddy. Come on over here. Come on over here. Get on. What? All right. There we go. Okay. Another one on that swimming worm. I think he came back for it. I lost him the first time. And I think he just came right back for it when I recast, because I actually saw him. I missed him when he bit the bait, and came right back. Man, that's a nice one. Probably about 2.5, 3 pounds. Beautiful fish. The really cool thing about these worms, these swimming worms, is you can just work them through all of that cover. And I just use them just like a swim bait. I swim them exactly like I would a paddle tail swim bait. But they get through the stuff so easy and so smooth. Just real quick, I use 15-pound test. This is Seagar and Vizix. And I'm not super picky about the rod or which brand I use, as long as it's a medium heavy action with a soft tip. That's really all I'm looking for. I like the soft tip because it kind of lets them fish sort of, you know, take that bait a little bit. And you'd be surprised with these largemouth how well they get hooked when they hit this worm. Got him. So, this is a good one here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just gonna drag up a little bit. There we go. Come here, buddy. Oh. Oh yeah. Man. Woo. Once again, right in those weeds, all I'm doing is just kind of moving around, taking advantage of this wind. That's a bass out here, beautiful. Give him a big old kiss. Taking advantage of this wind, and man, they're just, when they hit this thing, they hit it really hard. You can get these just about anywhere. I make my own. Right now, I like a bluegill color because that's the #1 threat for a bass when they're spawning is bluegill. They'll just destroy their nest, so they're already a threat. Green pumpkin works good, but Yum Baits makes one called the Yum Dinger. Used to fish with it a lot. Zoom makes a swimming worm. It's really good. And I just started making my own. I just wanted to make my own just to, not because it's any better than the other ones. I just wanted it because I wanted certain colors. And that's the only reason I make my own. So while I'm still fishing this area, give you a little update on the conditions of the lake. Water clarity is getting better and better. So I can see down 2-3 feet. Starting to clear up real nice. Water temperatures are anywhere from 67 to 68 degrees. I'm sure there's still more bass spawning. There's a lot of post spawners. They could still be in all 3 stages. You know, not 100% sure. But the grass has absolutely been the key for me. I talked to one of my friends earlier today. He did good around wood, just using soft plastic baits, you know, fishing it up against any wood that you know that he saw. That's how he was getting bit. Me today, it's this swimming worm and just throwing it in that cover. That's the main thing. Throw it right in that cover, right in that grass, and swim it through. Sometimes when it gets a little bit hung up and you give it a little pull out, that's when you get the bite. Well, I really appreciate you all. I wanted to come out here and fish. Had a good day, gorgeous spring day. Supposed to be about 78 today. Feels great. If you haven't been out here, lake, I have not seen this lake at 100% since I don't know when. And it is just absolutely beautiful. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate all of you. I'll talk to you next time.